Hey everybody, this is Erica, Coach Honey Love. I'm coming on live to share a story with you when it comes to one of my previous relationships. So, this is going to be a little story time about me being in a previous relationship and me discovering that I was in a relationship with the wrong man. And so, it's my hope that you will be able to have some takeaways as far as when you know you are dating the wrong guy, or even when you self reflect on when you were in a relationship with the wrong guy. So let's just go ahead and get into today's story. So I had met this guy, and it was in a place in my life where I was just good with going to work, having fun. And at that time, I had just enjoyed having a companionship with this guy. And so, we had dated for a little while, and the chemistry for me was real. And so, I don't know about you, but have you ever met a guy where the chemistry just felt so strong between the two of you, and you had, good conversations, and you liked the way that he made you feel? Not only that, you could actually have had, a point where, you just like his swagger or whatever the case may have been. And so that was me in that season of my life. And so we were able to have fun and go out on dates and enjoy each other's company. And at that time, I was okay with that because I didn't necessarily know what I had wanted. And so, that's like one of the things that as Coach Honeylove, I like to teach single women is before you actually start dating, know exactly what it is that you want. Because if you date and you don't have any standards, or you don't date with a strategy, that you can actually get inside of a relationship, and it can actually delay you from meeting your future husband, especially if that relationship does not work out. So back to my story. So we were having a good time, and getting to know each other and things like that. But within 1.5 years, I would say that I had just wanted to become more ambitious. So when I had met him, I had dropped out of college. And then within a year and a half of our relationship, I had wanted to go back to college. And that's exactly what I did. I went back to college, and it seemed as though he was supportive of me going back to school, right? But then when I had took night classes and I was coming home doing my homework and things like that, I could see that he was looking at me a certain way, and it didn't seem as though he was as supportive. And he felt like my college work was taking me away from him. And I was just so surprised because I had talked to him about the things that I had wanted to do. And without that support, and me being surprised, I just took that as a mental note. How many of you have ever taken a mental note like, okay, you said that you were supportive and you said that you want what's best for me, but then when the time came to show that support, that he may not have been as supportive. So the first indication that I was in a relationship with the wrong guy was when I had a lack of support. And I don't know if you can actually relate to that when you are in a relationship with a guy where it seems like he's supportive, but he's not supportive. he says that he's supportive with his words, but when it comes to his actions, he's really not supportive. And so that kind of, made me a little upset because I had wanted his yes to be yes and his no to mean no. And he just showed me that, he really wasn't happy for me. And I was just really just trying to better myself at that particular time of my life. And so, I just, took a mental note of that. And then the next thing was when I was in the relationship with him, I just want to make sure that I say what I wanted to say here. Um, the other thing is that so I just wanted to, just start to grow in my life and, just start to make better financial choices and just start to become a better adult because at that time I was like in my mid 20s. And so, when you're in your mid 20s, you're just trying to figure life out and you're just trying to, better yourself. And so, what I had discovered in our relationship was that he was okay just going to work, coming home, and having fun. And so, I felt like, you know, uh, going to work, coming home, and having fun was something that got boring to me after a while, right? So, if you have ever been in a relationship when you started off in a certain way and things were cool in the beginning, but then when you start to mature, hey, Wendy, when you start to mature, thank you for coming in. When you start to mature, it's just like, okay, going to work, coming home, and just having fun that that's not okay, right? And so when I had wanted to grow and again start to become ambitious in life and he didn't want to grow, and that was a problem for me. And this is was another indication that I was in a relationship with the wrong guy, right? And so lastly, how did I know I was in a relationship with the wrong guy? Was that, by year 3, I had discovered that I was in a relationship with a guy who only wanted to be in a relationship, right? So when you're growing, when you're ambitious, when you're trying to better yourself and you're trying to become a better person, and you're in a relationship with a guy where it just seems like, okay, it seems like we are compatible, but even though it seems like we are compatible, things aren't necessarily lining up. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I had reached a point to where I started to get bored. And I don't know if you have ever experienced that when you're in a relationship with a guy and you start to get bored, or things just start to seem like they are becoming stale, right? And as they seem like they are becoming stale, you kind of feel like you may be stuck, and then you feel like, oh, okay, I want more, right? And so that's where I was. So by year 3, I had wanted more, right? It's just like, okay, we're doing this and we're doing that. And, we have what we call a relationship, but I feel stuck and I want more. And I didn't feel like I was getting more from him. And hey, because I didn't feel like I was not getting more from him, I said to myself, like, okay, I'm going to have to make a decision. Like being in a relationship for 3 years and it not leading anywhere and then not leading to marriage, like that's not okay. And if I have given him 3 years of my life and he doesn't actually want to ask for my hand in marriage, well, what are we doing here? And so when I had asked him, like, okay, what are your intentions for me and would you like to get married? And he said no. So what I discovered was that I was in a relationship at that particular time with a guy who had only wanted to be in a relationship. He didn't want to be married. He didn't want to actually build something. So that was another indication that I was in a relationship with the wrong guy. And so if you have ever been in a relationship where you feel like you were in a relationship with the wrong man and you feel like, things aren't going the way that you want them to, whether if you guys keep on arguing, whether if you guys, you feel like you are stuck in a relationship or it's not going in the direction that you want it to go, and you just start to feel real dissatisfied. But you know within yourself you want more. You know within yourself you want to do more. And if you could have met a better guy, that if things were to go in the right direction, that it may have been better to be with someone else. And that's exactly like how I had felt. Like it was like, okay, I had given this guy 3 years, between 3 to 4 years of my life. And if it kept on going in the same direction, I knew that I was going to be mad at myself. I didn't want to no longer be in a relationship where I would be mad at myself because I wanted more. I wanted to do things with someone who wanted the same things out of life like I did, right? So I don't know if you have ever been in a relationship where you start off compatible, but then when you grow and you start to evaluate what it is that you want, you start to discover that you're not as compatible as you thought you were, right? And so, sorry, that's exactly like where I was. And, it took me a little while to leave that relationship. It took me a little while to want to actually start to separate from him. And it took me about 6 months to a year to leave that relationship because, I didn't know anything else. I had wanted more and I didn't know like what it would actually look on the other side. And, when it came to being in a relationship with the wrong guy, I would say giving him 4.5 years of my life, that I actually learned so much about myself. And it doesn't discredit him regarding him being a bad guy, because he wasn't a bad guy. He was just wrong for me. And as Coach Honeylove, I like to encourage single ladies to be in a relationship with a guy, or to date the right guy who is right for you, right? Because when you get with somebody, and as when you do get married, right? If you're a single woman, when you get with somebody and you do get married, you pretty much marry who they are and who they are getting ready to become, right? And that was like one of the special tools that I discovered is that I could, as a single woman at that time, I had to be with someone with who they are today and who they would become. And I wanted someone to be with me who I was today and who I would become as well. So after I had left that relationship, I would say this is that it taught me some key things as far as um, who I would choose next, right? And it taught me about how not to date the wrong guy, like moving forward, okay? And so what I discovered was, if I had wanted to continue to be on my journey with dating, right, after leaving that 4.5 year relationship, there would be some key things that I would be looking for. And if you are a single woman and you are dating with a purpose, there are going to be some key things that you can be looking for too, as to how you can avoid dating the wrong guy. And, here goes. Number one, if you cannot grow with a man, then chances are he's not going to be the right guy for you, right? So, like your when you grow, when you want better, when you want more. And so when it comes to dating a guy, if he does not have a growth mindset, if he does not have an ambition about him, or if he doesn't have a plan as to how he can grow, well, he may not be the one for you. So when you're dating a guy and you guys are talking about things, there may be some key things that you are looking for as far as like the way that things come up. Like, for example, if you ask him, so what do you want to do with your life? Or what is your 5-year goal plan? Or, are you dating for a relationship? Are you dating for marriage? Like, these are some key components how you know that you are dating someone with a growth mindset. So when I was in that previous relationship with the guy for 4.5 years, I didn't know, to ask him what he wanted to do with his life. We were young and we were just having fun, right? And so what I had discovered was growing was important to me. And so if growth is important to you, if you feel like the guy that you're dating, if he doesn't have a growth mindset, or if he's just cool with where he is in life and he becomes comfortable where he is in life, and if you ask him about the future and he feels like, oh, you're challenging me, then chances are the two of you might not actually be compatible with each other. And that's okay. Like, he may not be the right guy for you, but he can be the right guy for someone else. So if you're dating with a purpose and you are ambitious, you want to grow, you want to date someone who is compatible with you. If you can't see a future with him, if you can't see if he has a growth mindset, and if you can see that, he isn't ambitious enough, chances are the two of you may not be compatible with each other. So you can't get hung up on the way that he makes you feel. You can't get hung up on the words that he says. You can't get hung up on how he flirts with you. You can't get hung up on his swagger, because those things can actually be misleading. And so one of the things that you're going to have to look out for is making sure the two of you actually have the same values. If you do not have the same values, you can actually date a guy longer than what you should. So, when it comes to dating, if you want marriage, again, always make sure that the person you are dating, has a growth mindset. Secondly, when it comes to dating and, how you can avoid dating the wrong man, especially if you are dating with a purpose, you are dating with the intention for marriage, and you want the guy to court you from the beginning, that is that you have to make sure that you value marriage the same way. So if you're dating a guy and you find out that he is relationship minded, or if you date a guy and you notice that he's a casual dater, he just wants to see the way things go and he wants you to go with the flow with him, but in your heart, you want to be a wife. In your heart, you know that you want to get married one day. If the two of you are not compatible with your values, in the sense of you want marriage and he doesn't, don't think that you can change his mind. So, when it comes to having conversations, you want to make sure that the two of you actually value the same thing. You want to make sure that the two of you want the same thing. So it's going to be so important when it comes to how you can avoid dating the wrong man, is to see what he values. And if your values are not aligned and you want marriage and he doesn't, then it's going to definitely be an uphill climb. And like I said, please don't think that you're going to change a man's mind, because 9 times out of 10, men know when they want to marry you within the first 30 days, right? So, a man compartmentalizes things when it comes to the way that he thinks, right? So, if you meet him, when you do meet a guy, he already kind of like puts you in a box. And I know that was true for me. Not to say that my husband put me in a box, but when he had first seen me, he had said that I looked like I was somebody's wife. And I knew that he valued marriage as far as like the way that we had conversations with each other. So the way that you are going to avoid dating the wrong man is making sure the two of you are aligned in regards to your marriage values. So don't allow a man to waste your time. Don't allow a man to sell you on a dream when you know he doesn't actually mean that he's going to execute whatever it is that he says that he's going to execute. And back to my story, when I was in a relationship with a relationship minded man, as I self reflected, he never did say he wanted to get married. He never did talk about marriage. And it wasn't a self reflection on me, but I think that it was the way that he grew up. He didn't necessarily value marriage. So when it comes to dating the right guy, you just want to make sure that the two of you are aligned when it comes to your marriage values. And for you to feel good about dating him, for you to feel good that, okay, we are aligned with our value system. And thirdly, how can you make sure that you avoid dating the wrong guy is that you want to date someone that is supportive of you. So you know the things that you want to do with your life. You know the things and the places that you want to go. So if you're dating a guy and it doesn't seem like he's going to be supportive of you, that is definitely going to be a problem. And, you know, back to my story, remember I had shared with you is that I was in a relationship with a guy where we started off just having fun and the chemistry was good enough for me at that particular time. But when started to become ambitious and I had wanted to go back to college, it's like, okay, I wanted to better myself. I wanted to grow. I wanted to further my career. And when I would come home and start doing my homework, you know, it just seemed like his demeanor started to shift. And I was surprised because we had talked about the things I had wanted to do. So he said one thing like, yeah, I support you and I want you to, you know, go to college. But then when it came to the proof in the pudding, I started to notice his demeanor started to change. And he wasn't as supportive as I thought he was. So when I had broke up with him from that relationship and I had started back dating, what I had discovered was one of the ways that I'm going to avoid dating the wrong type of man is if he cannot support me where I am today and he can't support me in my future, we're not going to be compatible with each other. And so I hope that that's an encouraging word for you that if a man is not able to be supportive where you are now and where you are going, if he cannot support you, chances are, again, he's not going to be compatible with you. And, if you get inside of a dating experience or in a relationship with a guy who says he's supportive, but he's really not, sometimes that type of man can actually want to drag you down. And, that right there is saddening that a man would want to drag you down, that he wouldn't want to be supportive of you. But for me, that was the clear indication that he was not the right type of guy for me. So I am going to encourage you if you want to avoid dating the wrong guy, just make sure that he can be supportive of you in your endeavors and where it is that you want to go in life. And that leads me to this is that I'm having a 3-day challenge of, how to avoid dating the wrong type of guy. And so the three tips that I had gave you is how you know that you can avoid dating the wrong type of guy is don't date a man who is not marriage minded. Don't date a man who does not have a growth mindset. And don't date a man who cannot support you in your life because, life is so short and, we have, so much ambition and so many things that we want to do with our lives, especially if you are a single professional woman. And I would love to see you to be in a relationship with a guy that says, "Go, baby, you got it." He says, "I love the things that you are doing. I love the impact that you are having on your community." He says things like, "We value the same things, and where have you been all of my life? I'm just so excited to be with you." Like, you should be able to hear these things from a kind, loving, marriage minded man, right? So, I'm going to encourage you to join my 3-day challenge when it comes to how you can avoid dating the wrong man. And, when I had left that 4.5-year relationship, I'm going to say that that was the best decision that I had made because what I had discovered was that I couldn't allow myself to be stuck with a man who wasn't ambitious, who didn't want marriage, and who didn't have a growth mindset. And, being in a relationship where I had felt stuck, I just couldn't do it. And I knew that if I had went another year being in a relationship with a man like that, that I felt like I was going to sink. And, just being a woman that's ambitious, being a woman that wanted what's best for me and wanted to see, how I could grow and, what I could actually do with my life. And again, like, it doesn't mean that he was a bad guy. It was just that we weren't truly compatible with each other. And so because of that, I was willing to take the risk to leave him, right? And I'm so glad that I did because I had met and I married an amazing man. And so, you can actually date a man and be with a man that's actually right for you. You can be with a man that wants to see you grow, that wants what's best for you, that wants to support you and wants to marry you and not, be in a 7 or 10 year relationship without the intention of actually marrying you. Like, that's the reason why I wore my wife vibes t-shirt is because, when you're dating, you actually have to give a man, that you're a wife. You're just not a girlfriend. And there's so many women that are frustrated because they are in a relationship with a guy and they have given him like 5 and 10 and 15 years of their life. And, he doesn't want to talk about a future. He's just good with right now. He just is good with being comfortable right now. But, God wants what's best for you. And it's in his plan, for you to be married to a man who knows how to love you, who knows how to treat you right, and who wants to be supportive of you. And I think as a woman, you actually owe yourself that to be in a healthy, loving marriage with a man that is going to know how to treat you. So, this is why I created the 3-day challenge of how to avoid being in a relationship or how to avoid dating the wrong type of men, and for you to position yourself as a wife and to be with the right man. So, uh, please click the link to join my 3-day challenge, and I'll see you soon. Take care.